How's it going? My name is Cameron, also known as Venus Theory, and in this video, I'm here to show you how I use SynthMaster One to create an epic, pumping synthwave style track in only a couple of minutes. SynthMaster One is an epically powerful synthesizer that is perfectly capable of emulating a lot of those big classic synth sounds, and it has a bunch of effects and wave shaping modes that you can use to take those sounds and make them a bit more modern and interesting. So, let's dive in and take a look at how the track was made. So here we are in the DAW with the synthwave track I made. Let's go ahead and break it down. So as you can see, there's not a whole lot going on. It's just a handful of tracks. And this was because I wanted to kind of emulate those classic sounds by restricting myself to more or less what could I do on like an 8 or 16 track recorder. So let's go ahead and break down some of the sounds here. So for the main bass, I've got this, which is bass dark cycle. Which is a nice fat low bass sound, and all I did was just have the arpeggiator on here, set it up at 16ths, and set up the gate till it felt right, and that provided that nice kind of classic running synthwave bass line to set everything else on top of. To process the bass, there's not all that much going on. I just added a bit of EQ here. This is mostly to cut out some of the sub information and a little bit of 100 Hertz and boost up a bit here around 5 to 700 just to bring out a bit of that mid-range bark. Then I ran that into a tape sim here. This just adds a nice kind of lo-fi warble gritty old tape sound. So once I had the bass line set up, I wanted to start adding in the chords, and I knew I wanted those big washy retro synth chords, and I found this preset here, which is Key Neon Shine, which sounds fantastic for this type of style. So let's go ahead and take a listen. So there's a bit more processing on this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of that. So first up here, I've got a reverb. This is just to give it a bit more space and interest, and this is also being automated here. So the reverb is, really wide and open at the beginning to make this big washy sound. Then I kind of dry it out and bring it all back in. After that, I've got another tape simulator here. From there, another reverb down here, just a nice big wide reverb, and then a filter, which is being automated here at the intro of the song to start off the sound a bit darker and open it up. After that, I wanted to add that kind of classic synthwave key bell sound, so I found this here, which is Key Big Synth, and it sounds like this. And this preset was pretty much perfect right from the get-go, so there wasn't much to do other than just a bit of EQ just to create a nice bandpass sound. This is mostly just to clear it out of the way of everything else in the mix. And then once again, that kind of old lo-fi tape simulation just to add a bit of character. In the middle section of the track, I wanted one of those nice big moving 80s pads, and I found this preset here, which is called OB Pad, and it sounds like this. Which I think is a really cool preset, and it's got some cool modulation here from frequency modulation on sub 2. This is going to oscillator 2, and it just adds a bit of character and warble that's really interesting. This preset, again, was pretty solid, not much to do to it. I added a bigger reverb just to make it a bit wider and washier and old school, and then a little bit of EQ here. This was just, again, to kind of clean out the low end and the high end in the mix, and then get rid of a bit of resonance here around 1K. Finally, I needed that classic stabbing, raving lead sound, so I found this preset here. This is Cheerful Saw, and it sounds like this. Which is kind of that classic, goofy 80s synth sound. And this was pretty much all set, so just a little bit of processing again, just for some character and to clear out some space. So I've got a nice big washy reverb here. After that, I'm feeding this into an EQ. This is just cutting out all the low end and bringing up a bit of that high end information and a little bit more mid-range just to make it stand out in the mix. Finally, once again, just a nice lo-fi tape effect here just to add some character, warble, and movement just to make it sound like it was recorded on kind of like a old portable recorder setup. Beyond that, I created a quick noise hit here using SynthMaster One. I just rendered out a little bit of noise and then recorded it and added some processing. So I've got a stereo width controller here, a reverb, and then just a little bit of EQ cleaning out the low end and a bit of mud here around 500 and dipping off some of the extra super high frequencies to make sure it's not annoying. So within SynthMaster, I just automated the volume knob to turn down over the course here of a couple bars, and it sounds like this. So that just gives me that classic washy noise hit just to kind of add some big impact at the start and kind of work down so the tension kind of comes back, and then we hit another noise hit and so on and so on. Finally, for the drums, not much to talk about, just some classic retro drum machine samples here. So I've got a crash, a hat, and then just a kick and snare, and then that's really all that's going on here. And that was how I made that track. I think it turned out really, really well. I really love making synthwave stuff, and SynthMaster does a great job at emulating a lot of those classic retro synth sounds that you hear in this style of music. And the cool thing being you can actually take this type of stuff and use it in more modern songs just to add a bit of that kind of lo-fi character and edge to your music. And that's it for this video, so thanks for watching, and to pick up SynthMaster One for yourself or find more information, you can go to kv331audio.com.